is No Gifts Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gumption. Hey everyone, I'm Steve Noviello.
And I'm Jenny Anchondo.
And welcome. So welcome also to a new partner of ours for the holiday season, Ice at the Gaylord Texan.
So fun.
I am so excited about that. You've been, obviously, I have been.
Yes.
The kids love it. I mean, it's one of the, I first found, so we shoot the Fox Holiday Gift Guide at the Gaylord, and they're always so gracious.
Yeah.
And Martha, who runs media there, is always...
Love.
They're always so kind and accommodating, and it's such a huge undertaking. I mean, you've already been there.
It was so cool. I got to do the behind
the carving,
the making of Ice.
Because it's already carved, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it takes a very long time, and they actually fly these people in, and they stay here for weeks, and they're expert carvers. It's a skill that one learns as a child. Like often it's a predominantly male profession, and they start it when they're little boys, and it's incredible. Even just like they wanted them to do a logo for our work. And so they did like CW33, like really quick.
Yeah, it's
and
incredible.
it was so talented. So that was fun to see that component of it. Cause when you're rushing through with your kids and like a bunch of other people, it's hard to admire the work of the artisans. So that was really cool. But we do look forward to it every year. And I think it's one of those things where Brighton's been going now probably since she was like 3 or 4. And I think we still have many years of her getting excited about it, which I love.
Yeah. Well, we are in the middle of the holiday season now. Ice is open. And it's not just the Ice exhibit, which is obviously so cool, but like the carousel and the snowball fights and the slides and the
sledding.
Even honestly, just to walk around, like if you're like, you know what, I listen, I get it. It could be a heavy lift for people financially. Even to just go and walk around and look at the decorations is so nice.
I think I agree with that wholeheartedly. To get some pictures, like, or you could do like, hey, I like to preload it with children, like to plan out, set expectations. Like, hey, we're going to go in and we're going to get you can check the menus online for the food and stuff that they have. They have like a hot chocolate. Sometimes they have Dippin' Dots. Hey, we're going to go inside and get a hot chocolate and get some family photos. Yeah. Because you can walk through and enjoy just the decorations and everything. I think that's a great idea. Or if you're planning to like make a weekend out of it. We did that last year for Brighton's Christmas, like because we were expecting a baby. Like, so we kind of were like, okay, like the baby could kind of not ruin the holiday, but like she could come on Christmas Eve. She could come on Christmas Day. Like,
you never know.
We did the Gaylord just a few days before Christmas and made that as our Christmas. And then just whatever happened after that.
Speaking of holidays, did I tell you, I don't think we've talked about this. What happened on Veterans Day?
No.
Okay.
What?
So Veterans Day is a bank holiday. So Doug was off on Veterans Day. I was not off because we don't close.
TV.
Because TV doesn't stop. So he was like, hey, are you off on Monday? And I was like, no, I'm working.
How long have we been married?
Right. Doug? I was like, are you off? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. He's like, so, I mean, like kids are off. So, I was like, okay, well, congratulations. You have the kids. Like, I mean, but I can't not be at work. Right? It's a live television show. So we're, normal. Like he was like, okay, we're gonna, we actually had a pretty packed weekend that weekend. Monday comes around. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, I got it. And it's funny because he woke up that morning and was kind of like, he slept in, which is very unusual for him. He's usually up at like 4 in the morning. So we didn't get up until like 7. So I was like, are you okay? He's like, I'm just kind of achy. He wasn't feeling his best. Like he was okay. He'll bounce back.
Just maybe like from the long week, from the busy weekend.
Could have used a day, but like you're now home with the kids.
But now you're, it's easier to go to work than it would have been to.
Correct. So I get off the air from my 10 o'clock show because the phone rings at 11:30 and it is school. And I was like, hey, what's going on?
Your kids were not off school for Veterans Day, were they?
She said, I'm just calling to make sure that Jacob and Hudson are okay. And I said, oh, you're so sweet. I said, they're fine. How are you? She said, did you know there's school today? I was like, what? She said, yeah, they're absent. And I was like, oh, I said, I'm so sorry. My husband told me that there was no school because of Veterans Day. And she said, oh, not the first time I've heard that today. Or whatever. She made a flippant remark making me think. So I called him up and I was like, hey.
Do you want to go drop the kids?
Okay, well, let me ask you. So I said to him, hey, heads up, the front office just called at school asking how the kids are. And he said, no, they didn't. I said, they did. There's school today.
So you're the first number they call.
Well, they probably. And honestly, I don't have that number programmed into my phone. So I saw it, I picked it up and I was like, all right, I said, they have school today. And he was like, I said, he's like, no. And I said, no, they do. I said, who told you they didn't have school? And he's like, I just assumed that they didn't. I'm off. And we have we have Good Friday off and we have, Columbus Day, a bunch of random days. They were just off a couple of weeks ago for, during election day,
Yep.
So I said, well, why don't you just take them to school? Whatever.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. In that scenario, what do you do? So you kind of could probably use the day. You've got 2 kids that you're entertaining.
If it's me and I knew that there was the day I got to have with them, I'm very selfish. I'm obsessed with being with them because we work. So I probably would have had a whole thing planned. There would have been no way that there was any window for going to school because we would have been busy off at roller skating someplace, or I would have made a play date, and then that mom would have probably told me we have school, or I think I would have. But if it was Heath, I would have been like, hey, look, you're off the hook. Go enjoy. Go get a foot massage. Go
do something.
Go do something.
Well, I said because I would have dropped them off at school.
Here's the thing. I think it depends on the child too.
In terms of how much entertaining they need?
Well, no, or just how much they can afford to miss school. Brighton, for sure, at this point in her academic career, she can afford to miss a day of school. Right. It's not dire. I think next year,
right?
I might be like, okay, you've got some projects due and some things due. We probably need to put you in. But I feel like your kids are fine. What did he decide to do?
He was like, this is obviously a sign from the universe that I need to spend more time with the kids, so I'm good. And I was like, I am a terrible father. I would have been
wrong answer.
Okay, kids, it's a half day today and the first half is over. So off we go to school.
I've been mad recently. I've been having some personal beef with the school that just, it's not their fault.
Right.
Last year, parents got invited to everything.
And now they're not.
I don't get to go on the field trips.
Well, so here's the thing. What I felt immediately was parent guilt because of my new schedule at work and my lack of participation at the level that I used to. I was like, if I was at school and more connected, I would have known that there was school today.
Some of the other moms would have been like, isn't it wild that we're having
Monday?
School on?
Or I would have brought up in conversation, what are you doing with the long weekend? So I, of course, felt parent guilt about that. But I mean, kudos to him. I was like, okay, well.
So what did they do, the 3 of them?
Hung out. I actually said, so he did say, he's like, well, I've got a Zoom call later on this afternoon, so I was going to take him to my mother's. And I said, okay.
So he wasn't going to hang out with him anyway.
Let's not. I guess the universe wasn't speaking that loudly. But I then called her and said, hey, because it was such a nice day that day. I said, if you want to take them to aftercare at school and hang out there with them, because all their little aftercare friends will be playing on the playground at 3:15.
Yeah, that's cute.
Why don't you? That makes your and it's not like I don't want to spend time with you, but it's like, listen, you want to hang out with your friends. You don't want to hang out with me being like, stop watching TV, Because we do that in our house.
I got you a sword that one time.
We watch TV. Remember when I got you that sword? So yeah. Anyway, it's just,
interesting.
'Tis the season.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is we've recently have run into the concept of our kids wanting to spend their own money. So let me walk you through what happened
Tell
here.
me.
So we were at Target and I said, listen, we are going to Target because we're buying clothes. We are not here to buy toys. We are not buying toys. There's no toy buying while we're here. Okay, no problem. Great. So we buy clothes. Jacob's like, well, can we just look at the toys? I said, you can look if you want, but I will repeat myself. We are not here to buy toys. He said, okay, fine. So, of course, he finds these Pokemon cards, which, by the way, are the bane of my existence. Because they are everywhere. They are.
And why?
You have them in a book, and that book is full, and these cards are everywhere because some of them are worthless and some of them aren't, and
But are they worth something like Beanie Babies were?
But to each other, you trade them, and they have power and whatever. I don't get it. Anyway, so there's this set of Pokemon cards, and he was like, Daddy, I really, really, really want these. And I was like, that's great. Christmas is coming. Perhaps you could put it on your Christmas list. He's like, but what if they don't have it then? And I was like, sorry. I said, we're not here to buy toys. And he said, well, what if I bought them? I have money in my piggy bank. And I was like, okay, well, you kind of got me there.
And he knows to the penny how much he has, by the way.
To the penny. Guess how much this package of Pokemon cards was?
$5.
$70.
What? You shopped at a
$70.
different Target than me.
$70. It was a whole set of
Neiman
cards,
Marcus?
right? A whole set of cards. So I said, Jacob, that's a lot of money to spend on Pokemon cards. Now, it is well within the budget of what is in that piggy bank. So I was like, okay.
What'd you do?
I said, why don't we do this? I said, why don't we wait 24 hours? And if you still want it, then we can discuss it. I said, I honestly have to talk to Daddy because I think that it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. He said, I know, but it's my money. And I said, no, you're 100% right. I said, but let's kind of figure it out because I thought that was a lot of, I mean, you have a point. Like this is money that you have either earned or have been gifted or whatever the case is. The Tooth Fairy or whatever, whoever gave it to you. But like, that's a lot of money.
Like how much money does he have?
A couple $100 probably.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So it would be like a percentage wise, it would be like a third, potentially like a third
about
of his money.
About a third of your total assets, right?
Sure.
Totally.
So which is
what I'm thinking, right?
Right. It's like how much do they say for your house? Now kids'
Correct.
toys are their house,
Right.
so I don't know.
So what do you do?
So our rule with Brighton, and again, these are two very different children. Brighton does not know down to the penny what she has and does not have.
Well, because you spend her money on tipping pizza delivery guys.
No, that's true, but I reimburse it eventually. Like it's fluid. It's fluid, but like she makes out ahead.
Give a penny,
or
take
even,
a penny.
Yeah. She's allowed to spend at the interval with which she earns. So like, let's say she goes to work with Heath and does however much shredding and she earns $10. She's allowed to spend 50% of that. So she's allowed to spend $5 if she earned 10. Now, if she doesn't want to spend the $5 then she can kind of keep that half.
Can she bank it?
She can bank that half because like she might be thinking, I want $70 worth of Pokemon cards. Okay, well then you're going to have to go back and not earn 70, but earn 140 in order to spend it. She hasn't brought up the argument but it's my money. So, I mean, she has to a certain extent because when I tell you we've had that exact same conversation pre-Target, not buying toys, getting into Target, seeing something that we want and then saying, I'll spend my money. Or she'll say, can you spend yours and I'll pay you back when we get home. I totally get it, but we've done the half thing. It doesn't always work out perfectly because sometimes something does come up that's like it may not be there forever. And I'm like, right. I want you to.
I mean, and I do, by the way, like if we go to the store and like, he's like, I want these Pokemon cards, like the $5 one, like at the checkout.
You do.
And I'll be like, you can spend your money on that. And he'll be like, okay, but I don't have it with me. And I'll say, great. And I will check out and then we will do a separate transaction to check out, and I will take the money when we get home.
I take it too
in like a very deliberate way. Like, okay, you now have to give me money.
So, like, where's Hudson in all of this?
Hudson is running around the store pretending he has a tail.
Okay, so he's like not concerned. He's not
concerned about Hudson. The other day we were talking about because Hudson was like, "How do you have so much money?"
To you?
To Jacob, and he was like, "Well, like the Tooth Fairy." And Hudson said, I like money, but I also like having my teeth.
Maybe Hudson is the smart one.
Is okay. Like, so cool. Cause he hasn't lost any teeth yet.
Right.
So I said to Doug, I said, what do we do? So here's what we came up with, which I think it's actually funny how similar we are. Cause it's kind of a similar strategy, just with a different execution. We said, you can spend the money, but you have to take the equivalent amount of money and put it in the actual bank for long-term savings.
I'm going to upgrade to your plan.
Yeah.
I think that's a great plan.
You can spend 70 here, but you have to take another 70 and put it like in the bank where it earns interest. That's what we've decided.
Brighton's is very loose, but then how would I tip the pizza guy? So I don't know if I can actually afford to do that plan. I actually like that.
Yeah, I think that Doug
came up with it.
We had like we were having a fluid conversation about like, okay, like how do we like, because at first I was like, okay, do we do like, you can buy it, but then you have to donate 10% of whatever the value is to charity. Like you have, there's to be something. It can't just be a free for all.
I like that. Like I also want them to like tithe from the heart or give from the heart. Like hopefully at one point they'll just have a heartburst of like something that they love and want to give.
Okay. So speaking of which, that kind of transitions into the other thing I want to talk to you about is I feel like they are at an age now, and maybe we could do this together.
Yeah.
Like where we could go to, I don't know, somewhere like packing food for the needy, soup kitchen, like something. Do you do
1
that?
1 million. So we do Feed My Starving Children. which is exactly what you just said. It's perfect for their age because it's it's assembly line work, it's packing up, and they give a presentation at the beginning and then at the end about where it's going. And they see the type of food. I think that it highlights the privilege of the variety of food. I mean, it goes without saying, our kids are so privileged to have so many things that they have. Water, food,
$70
housing,
worth of Pokemon cards.
$70 worth of Pokemon cards. Ability to earn $140 should they choose. So it highlighted for Brighton, wow, like it was just kind of like rice and beans, and that's what they're going to eat like all week. So that's really good. And then our church does food ministry, which I think is also so perfect for your boys. They're getting ready to relaunch it on Saturday mornings, and it's actually fresh produce. So for local people, and they drive through and they'll grab it. It's really like it's a food pantry. It's a food, it's kids their age, and it's very like happy and joyful, and like, hey, here you go, see you next week. Fruits, veggies, grains, the occasional recipe, that sort of thing. But they're able to really participate.
How's the presentation of the first thing you described? Like, is it like am I going to lose them halfway through that because it's like, ugh.
I mean, it's work,
or is it like? But I'm saying it's like a
2
quick.
hours.
But I'm saying it's like the presentation part. Like it's not like half hour on like.
It's like made for kids. I mean, I feel like when I think about it, and I don't know that, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. I'm not like been on the board or anything. I've just been there for it. It almost seems like half of their mission is to
get kids involved
and educate them. They work with like a lot of like schools and churches and things like that. But I think it's perfect for them because it just kind of plants the seed of it's like not all about you.
Okay, so let's do that. I would like us to get something on the calendar to do that.
I think, let's do it.
Because
Gemma is out.
Gemma's
Brighton
out.
is in.
Okay. Yes. The boys are in. They get the concept that like not everybody has what they have, and not everybody gets to eat all these meals, and not everybody gets to, whatever. But there are some times where like it's something and I'll be like, hey, like let's pull it back. Like I do. Like I don't love that you just assume that life just happens this way for you.
I do think it's a part of their age too. I forget what age it is. Was it even I'm trying to remember if it was somebody on our show or somebody I've interviewed before where they said, because I was having a concern about selfishness and self-centeredness and stuff. And there's a certain age, and I think that our older kids are getting they're getting to be to that age where they're actually not able to conceptualize somebody else's needs besides their own because they're just based on just survival themselves. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's like, and you never really know with that stuff until later. Like, did it make a difference? Did it not? But you can't. It doesn't hurt to be involved.
We did not do that as a family. We also weren't very involved in our church or anything like that. Yeah. So I don't really know that there was. And also I feel like that was not like in the 70s and 80s. This was not like a y'all come, I put this on Instagram, like come and do this kind of situation. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's more prevalent now that the public would just go and do such things. Or am I totally off base?
I see what you're saying. Well, I think for us, like we were definitely a volunteer family. Like food pantry family, donate family. Like when we
donate, like
I wondered, can we pay for this for ourselves even? And then you're donating. And even as a kid, I'm like, really, man?
Right.
Like, I don't know that we can afford to be giving this way, but that is the way that my parents are made. It's the way they're built. But also I think it was a function of our church. So I was raised Catholic. I'm not Catholic anymore, but that was like a big part of Catholicism, or at least in our church. Right. I mean, I don't know everywhere else. So it was like you would take your shifts. So it was like a natural progression or a natural like part of being a part of the church, I guess. And doing the soup kitchen and doing the Thanksgiving meals and the Christmas meals. And again, kind of wondering as a kid, like, should we be?
The kids are good. Like when we do, like we will do like, okay, we need to, we don't get new toys unless we clean out and donate things that we own or have, or we don't play with, or like, whatever the case is. Part of it is just, we got to keep stuff out of our house.
Gosh, you must be better at throwing out toys than I am, or donating.
Well, but we also, like, both of them are now, well, I don't have, I would imagine for you, it's difficult because you've probably got stuff that Brighton's too old to play with, but Gemma's probably a couple of years away from, so that's not that far in the distance for it to sit in. And you've got a lot more storage in your house than I do. So,
but I think it's a problem because now I just store everything and like don't get. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly donating, but it still feels like it's just as overwhelming. Maybe that should be a guest that we have, like
how to get through that,
get rid of stuff, how to process and purge and donate and not have your house be just.
We do through our school. The ladies in the cafeteria will do, and you pay, like parents will volunteer, and you all get together and everyone chips in like $20 or whatever it is, and they will make trays of food, and we'll do like a takeover at the bridge and like serve food to the people there. And it's a hot meal.
Yeah.
And they always, I remember doing it last year and they were so appreciative. And the fact that it was a hot meal was unusual because sometimes it's just like a cold sandwich or whatever. But what I noticed the most was, and I keep on, and I've got to get it going maybe for this year. A lot of the recipients of that, of those meals knew me from work. To see you there doing that was a big deal. So I think that like if I were to round up some of the other colleagues of mine from the office and us do it as, hey, everyone chip in $20 and we'll do this. I feel like that would be kind of a nice thing too. But I do want to get the kids involved I do think that we're at that point now. Because if we don't do, it's so easy to not do it. You know what I mean?
You have to be super intentional, and it's work. And I think at the end of the day,
I'm still trying to get out thank you cards for my birthday party a month and a half ago.
I think you're forgiven, or people feel thanked. Don't send. I'm like, well, mine was just more of a funny gift, but so don't send me anything. I'll consider this my gratitude, and anybody else who's listening who gave Steve a gift. This is your thank you.
Okay. And also, hey, if you are listening and you do know of a volunteer opportunity that's particularly suitable for kids, whether or not it's something that you are involved in or something that you and your family volunteered at, please go ahead. We're very accessible on Instagram and on Facebook. Send us a message. Feel free to comment in the notes of the show because we'll check. Let's commit to doing it before the end of the year.
Totally in.
Okay. All right,
add perfect. That to my list.
All right, add it to your list. Hey, that's about time for us for this week. We will see you next Tuesday morning and every Tuesday morning on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, our new episodes drop on YouTube and online.
What was an accent you had?
YouTube and online, 7 a.m. on your favorite podcast platform. And if you do nothing else, go out and find yourself a friend you don't need to clean the house for. We'll see you soon, everyone.